One day I will remember to bring one of those things that you look through. The romper room thing. She would hold up what looked like a bubble wand, right? And say, "Ooh, I see Hank, I see John, I see Roger, I see Brian, I see David, I see Chuck, I see Deborah, I see Donna. Hey, Lone Locust Productions is back to Lone Locust. I see all those people. Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me today. Let's do a thing. Hold on. Wait, I need to make one more note. Um, Two more notes. This is scintillating. I'm glad I started the video so that you could watch the top of my head while I write stuff. Okay, now I think I'm ready. We'll find out. Please stand by. Bundles and bungles for life. It is Monday, the 30th of November, 2020, and this is macOS Can Live. Live, I tells ya. Hi, I'm Ken Ray. Thank you very much for joining me for this live thing that we do in the afternoon. Did you get to take time off at the holidays? Did it leave you feeling refreshed, invigorated? I know it did for me. I come back today with a breath of fire. Oh, that could be all the cocktails I had over the holidays. Second half of the show, we're going to talk about the $1 million developer bundle. Bundle bubble. See, it's bundles and buggles or bungles. Yeah, I come back with a breath of fire. Did I mention that? Second half of the show, we will talk about the developer $1 million bubble. It's very exciting what Apple is doing, making it possible for small developers to only pay a 15% commission instead of a 30% commission. One research company says that pretty much is almost all developers who are going to be making more money. We'll talk about that in the second half of the show. Also, we will talk about the hard to get HomePod Mini. Got some feedback from a friend of the show. So we will talk about that. First half of the show, though, just a really exciting story that I read in Apple Must. I can't remember how I know Johnny Evans' name, and I'm not sure if Apple Must is more than one person or if it's just Johnny Evans. But he writes some interesting articles for a site called Apple Must. That's applemust.com, I think. Might be applemust.co.uk, but I believe it's applemust.com. Anyway, he wrote a fascinating piece that I want to get into in the first half of today, talking about the possibility of hardware as a service. Now, the article that he wrote has news of Virgin Media's Apple Ultimate Bundle. And what the Ultimate Bundle is an iPhone 12 Pro, an iPad Air 4, a pair of AirPods Pro, and an Apple Watch Series 6, plus unlimited calls and texts and data for £70 a month. That's kind of funny. He apparently did the conversion because I went and read the site. Well, no, the site said £70 a month. The Apple Must piece at $100 a month, though the conversion rate today makes it closer to 90 than 100, but you get the idea. For one, I won't say small fee, but it's a small fee if you think about all of the hardware you get and you think about all the services you get as well. Yeah, $100 a month. Apple's latest hardware. Now, what I have not read in the Virgin piece is, am I signing up for that for 2 years? Am I signing up for that for 3 years? Do I get the newest stuff every year? There's a lot of stuff I don't know, but let's just talk about the idea of subscribing to hardware theoretically. I mean, the fascinating thing to me and to Johnny Evans is what this could mean for the future of Apple hardware. In fact, I mean, he says point blank, this is where we are going. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that this is where we're going as far as Apple is concerned, but it could be where we're going as far as hardware acquisition. Certainly, it is something that Apple is aware of. I'm not going to say it's something that Apple is keeping an eye on. That's something that Apple is going to do because who knows whether it's something Apple's going to do. Deutsche Bank analyst Jeriel Ong asked Apple CEO Tim Cook about hardware as a service on the September earnings call, which happened at the end of October, because that's the way those things work. He wanted to know whether it was something that Apple would get into, to which Cook replied, "We don't have anything to announce today on a hardware bundle, but backing up a bit, and we do view that people like to pay for their hardware, at least some substantial portion of it, or some substantial portion of it, monthly. And so that's the reason that we have implemented installments in our stores and online. And that's the reason you see in some of the channels selling the hardware on a per month kind of basis, or renting it in the case of Virgin." Cook continued, "That begins to look like a subscription, perhaps to some buyers, because they're used to holding the phone for a period of time and then turning it over and using the residual value of that phone in a way that gives them a de facto kind of subsidy on a new phone. And so there is something today in the market that works somewhat similar." Then there is Apple's not so secret plan. Remember the thing that happened back in October, I think it was? Apple applied for the trademark iPhone for life. For life! Apple applied for the trademark iPhone for life in Hong Kong. And while that would seem to cover iPhone, according to I think it was Mac Rumors. Yeah, Mac Rumors wrote up that piece. The phrase could be used for retail store services, and retail store services are provided by a communications networks. So basically, if you walk into an Apple store, if you go to the Apple Store app available in the App Store, brought to you by Apple, it would also cover financial services, financing services, banking services, financing of loans, extension of retail credit, installment loans, and lease purchase financing, which sounds like Apple thinking about getting into the idea of renting you your hardware. Maybe. Mac Rumors did see a couple of possibilities. That was one. It was also they could be looking to rebrand the iPhone upgrade program, or it could just be trying to block anybody else from using iPhone for life. Who else is going to use? Well, I guess Virgin could use iPhone for life, and SoftBank, and T-Mobile, and Verizon, and AT&T, and Rogers, and EE, and everybody else. O2 maybe. The other T-Mobile, the one that's not here. Is there still a T-Mobile anywhere else? Left me with a few questions. Is this something Apple would do? On the one hand, why wouldn't they want the money? On the other hand, why would they want the headache? If they can get Verizon to do it and partner with them, if they can get Virgin to do it and partner with them, if they can get, why can't I think of any other carriers anyway? If they could get all of those to do that and partner with them, then Apple's just taking money for, Virgin to handle that headache, for Verizon to handle that headache, for them to deal with, the issues there. I gotta say, as fascinated as I am by the idea as a business model, I'm not really into the idea. I like owning my phone, because if anything happens, if for some reason I suddenly have no money, and I don't think that can happen suddenly, but times being what they are, if one day I didn't have enough money to, keep up my payment for all of my hardware, what happens to all my hardware? Does it all get bricked for lack of payment? Because right now, I could go get a SIM card from somebody else and just keep using my phone. Would there be something built in that wouldn't allow that? Also, just dealing with carriers stinks. I mean, it does. I would love for it to not, but it does. Dealing with Apple doesn't stink. Dealing with anybody stinks, honestly, but dealing with Apple is a little bit better. I don't know. I guess it's a question of, do you trust the carriers, and do you trust renting versus owning? Something that Johnny Evans also brought up is, where are the services and all of these things, right? Yeah, you kind of don't need them, though. I mean, he even argues that himself. Like, if you're paying $100 for all your hardware and for your data and for your calls, yeah, paying Apple $30, for unlimited, well, for Apple TV, for Apple Music, for Apple News Plus, for, however many terabytes of storage. I mean, we're already used to that idea. I pay for high-speed internet cable, right? And then I pay for over-the-top services. So, it's only one step further of, renting your TV. What's funny is, I mean, that's always had kind of a bad connotation, right? I mean, putting stuff on layaway or going to a place like, I can't think of the name of her national one. Was Rent-A-Center one? You could end up paying so much more for your computer at a place like Rent-A-Center than you would ever pay if you could save and, buy it. The problem is people can't necessarily scrape together the savings, or maybe we don't have the patience. Is this a better deal now? I mean, I guess you're not renting to own, you're renting to never own, maybe? I don't know. I mean, again, it's a fascinating business model, but the more I think about it, I don't know if it's for me or not. Now, I say paying an extra 30 bucks to Apple is not such a big deal. The question though is, will Apple let you do that? So I have every transaction set up to message me through my payment method. And I got a message today that I got a refund of 29.95 from Apple, which I assumed was because I had started Apple One Premiere, and I assumed that was them refunding me for other stuff that they had charged me for. No, turns out not. Um, this is a piece from who's it from? This is also from Mac Rumors. Today marks 1 month since the launch of Apple One, which allows customers to subscribe, in theory, allows customers to subscribe to multiple Apple services in a single bundle. And it appears that there are some billing related issues as the free trial period begins to elapse. Apple One includes a 30-day free trial for any services that customers did not already subscribe to individually. And the trial period ends today for the people who signed up on its first day of availability, which I did. Following the end of the trial period, however, some customers are seeing their Apple One subscription listed as expired and or have been billed individually for services like Apple TV Plus and Apple Music that should be rolled into Apple One. Okay, what's weird is I don't think I've been charged for anything else, but I have been refunded the Apple One stuff, and yet everything is still working. Like I've still got my storage, I've still got my storage. I've still got access to Apple Music Plus. I've still got access to Apple News Plus, which I had not subscribed to individually. Or maybe I did resubscribe to that. I don't know. See, I don't know where the whole thing is right now. And I don't know what to do. Because when I go into subscriptions, it says, do you want to sign back up? It doesn't even say, do you want to sign back up? It says there are 3 options you can choose from. The one for almost nobody, the family plan. I don't mean for almost nobody. I mean for one person not doing as much as I'm doing. Mostly it's the storage whatever. Anyway, it's got all 3 options for me to sign up. And I don't want to sign up because everything is still working right now. What I'm really hoping is that this time tomorrow, or actually by tomorrow's Mac OS 10, Apple's going to say, right, our bad, don't do anything. We're going to go ahead and fix it on the back end. Or maybe they're going to say, yeah, really sorry about that. You need to resubscribe. I'm not going to do anything until they say what to do, either until they say what to do or until everything stops working. And assume that my, stuff that's stored in iCloud will be there for more than the 5 minutes it takes me to sign back up. Now, all this led me back to wondering again about this idea of hardware as a service. Again, could a problem in Virgin Media's billing system lead to all of my devices being bricked? I also then began to wonder, would I be able to turn off location awareness, right? Because for $100 a month, they're giving me like $2,000, $2,500 worth of hardware. Probably they're going to want to know where that is if I stop paying $100 a month. It's like if you buy a car, until you have actually paid off the car, there is a thing that they can always use to find that car in case you miss a payment or you miss 2 payments. And then, all of a sudden, hey, maybe they went away with our car, but luckily we have a homing beacon. We can find that car and take it back from them. Does that also happen with your computer and your iPhone and all that stuff? Because certainly all of that exists, but the question is, would I be able to turn off the one that I'm renting from Virgin Media or Verizon or AT&T or whomever in the same way that I theoretically can with the one that I bought outright from Apple? And then, would I be able to trust that my information was as locked down as I can theoretically make it on the one that I buy personally? Or Does renting my device from Global Megacorp, a division of Five Eyes Inc., mean that not only is my hardware not mine, but suddenly my data is not, well, it's mine, but somebody else might want to peek? I come back with a breath of fire. I found that story fascinating. I found the ideas fascinating. There was a fantastic episode of Max Headroom, 20 minutes into the future, where he was blacklisted by everything. And so he couldn't get into his house anymore because his key, of course, was not a physical key. It was an electronic key. And so they turned off his house for him. Sounds far-fetched, except for when it doesn't. Okay, coming up in just a minute, we're going to talk about the $1 million bubble for developers. I'm sorry, there's something about this story. It's not funny. There's a small thing where it's kind of a tiny bit funny for me, but we'll get to that. We'll also get to the feedback about the HomePod Mini. First, though, I would like to invite you to check out another show that I do. Again, seriously, I only took like 3 full days off. I think I actually worked for like 1 hour on Saturday. I worked until like midnight or 12:30 Wednesday night. So I had all day Thursday, all day Friday, most of the day Saturday, and then yesterday, Sunday, I woke up and got immediately back to work and spent the whole day working. But just those 3 days somehow revitalized me because I sat down last night for an hour, a little bit more, with Adam Christensen for this week's In a Few Minutes, and just a fantastic, fantastic conversation with him. And part of that is because he's a great person to talk to. Been a friend of mine for years. We hit some really interesting topics, but I think part of it was just relaxing too. Anyway, I think they were great conversations. They're going to be coming to you in a few minutes this week. I would love if you would check them out. Monday, It's News to Adam covered Linus Torvalds and his wish for an M1 Mac that he could load Linux on natively. So that was a lot of fun. And we also talked about Thanksgiving because, it was technically still Thanksgiving weekend. So the show is called In a Few Minutes. You can actually catch audio of it here on this YouTube channel. And if you're listening to the podcast, it is youtube.com/Ken Ray. You can also go to the shows section of macosken.com. And finally, wherever you get podcasts, just search for In a Few Minutes. And you should be able to find the show and subscribe. And I'd appreciate it if you did. All right. The people at Apple Insider have written an interesting story. And there's something about it that's just kind of funny to me. I don't know what it is. They have looked into figures from a company called App Figures that say 98% of the people who are selling anything through the App Store are going to be positively affected by Apple's 15% versus 30% commission. So basically, well, first of all, almost nobody is actually selling stuff in the App Store, which is kind of weird. According to this firm, and I don't know them, okay, so I'm kind of taking some of what they're saying on faith. But according to this firm, out of the 2 million apps currently in Apple's marketplace, only about 376,000 are paid downloads or monetized through subscriptions or have some form of in-app purchase, which is nuts. That is a really small amount of money. I mean, I know there are lots of apps that are, free apps, although I guess what that's taking out is ad supported. Maybe that's the thing I'm missing because it makes it sound like you're dealing with mostly hobbyists at that point. But I forget, we're not talking about me paying them money. They're getting paid another way. So the 15% wouldn't affect them. That honestly makes this make a lot more sense. But here's the part where I kept kind of getting amused. And I feel bad, but I do. Those 376,000 apps belong to about 124,500 developers. Of those, a little under 2% actually made more than $1 million in 2019, according to App Figures. That means that roughly 98% of all developers that can make money in the App Store as of right now will qualify for the program, which opens in 2021, and they can keep more revenue in their pockets instantly, so says App Figures. So I guess the message is, relax. You're never going to make $1 million anyway. This is perfect for you. Now, when I talked about the $1 million bubble, I did a tiny bit of math, and that often gets me in trouble because even simple math I am bad at. But check my math on this if you want to. 15% of $900,000 is $135,000. So if you subtract 135,000 from 900,000, you end up with $765,000, right? So somebody who makes revenue sales of $900,000 ends up walking away with $765,000. Of course, they got to pay people. They got plenty of other stuff. I'm not saying they're suddenly partially loaded, but there's that, right? And then I did the math on somebody who made $1.1 million because they're actually now paying 30% instead of 15%. So 30% of $1.1 million is $330,000, which means that they would take home $770,000. So for an extra $200,000 in revenue, they get to keep $5,000 more dollars. Expect those stories from the Coalition for App Fairness any day now. And, the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal and anybody who's got a bone to pick with Apple at any particular time. And that stinks. Honestly, I don't know how many people we're actually talking about. How much would it stink to be, $1.01 million, and suddenly you're in the hole? I mean, you're actually losing money. Well, you might be. You might be losing money at that point. Then again, if you have an app or a service that's making close to $1 million, seems like there's stuff you could do to make well over $1 million. I don't know if that would be marketing firms or what that would be exactly. Maybe it's just getting acquired. I would guess if you get close to that bubble, you can probably get well past that bubble. Either that or you cash out and, go live on an island in France. I don't think there are islands in France, but I'm not sure. Not in France, because let's do feedback really quickly, and then I'll come into the chat room and talk to you guys. Apparently, I have been talking a lot over the past couple of weeks about the lack of availability for the HomePod Mini, because the HomePod Mini is kind of hard to get. If you ordered it that first day, you got it when the first round came out. After that, it's been back and forth a bit. So I woke today to a message from NosillaCast's Allison Sheridan, surprising the planet by telling me I was wrong. I heard you mention that the black HomePod Mini is hard to get before Christmas, so I checked Best Buy, and it turns out it is easily available. That is her word, easily available. And that was accompanied by a screenshot of an order page that said it should ship by the 16th of December. Now, first of all, just, defending myself, it doesn't say will ship by the 16th of December. It says should. Okay. The thing is, though, she's right. If you order it right now from Best Buy, because Apple is still, Apple actually, nope, Apple, you can't get it before the new year at this point. That's mostly what I was concentrating on is, how you could get it from Apple and how long it would take to get from Apple, because that tends to be what I use as my barometer. She is right, though. If you go to bestbuy.com and you search for the Space Gray HomePod Mini, it'll be available actually for pickup in 2 to 3 weeks, according to my check of the site. And it should ship, it says, by Wednesday, the 16th of December. White should be able to pick up in 9 days, and it should ship by Wednesday, the 9th of December. So again, the black one is still harder to get, but you can get both probably through Best Buy before the holidays. Target lists them as coming soon, but does not have them. Walmart does not list them at all. They do list the HomePod, but they list it as out of stock. So I guess that's not happening. B&H Photo, if you're jonesing for one of these, that might be the best way to get it as soon as possible. I don't know what kind of inventory they're going to have, but they actually start pre-orders tomorrow, Tuesday, the 1st of December at 8 a.m. Eastern, 5 a.m. Pacific. So if you're on the West Coast and you want to, see what that's like, you can do that tomorrow morning. wicked early tomorrow morning. I'll probably still be up. So send me a message and I'll tell you I'm going to bed. As far as Apple is concerned, the Space Gray you order today, the fastest you can get it is December 30th through January 7th. Free is December 31st through January 8th. White, strangely, is actually harder to get right now through Apple than the Space Gray. White, you order it now. The fastest is the 7th of January through the 14th of January. Free, the 8th through the 15th. So there you go. I shared all of that with Allison Sheridan. She came back to me and said that Best Buy now has free same-day delivery for some areas. I don't know what areas those are because I couldn't find them, but she did. So I guess your options are you can order it from Best Buy and be patient. You can try B&H Photo tomorrow, which sells a ton of Apple stuff. It's kind of funny. I wonder if they're holding off until tomorrow because today is Cyber Monday. It doesn't matter. They're holding off until tomorrow. That's the real thing. Or you can just, like Hunt and Peck, you can check. There may be Apple stores across the country where they do actually have them available to order and pick up. I tried a few different zip codes and couldn't find any of those. Doesn't mean they're not out there. Or you can be patient, or you can buy like 97 Echo Dots for the cost of a HomePod Mini and a half. So this is a thing we do every Monday through Friday, holidays not included. If you'd like to join us live, which would be great because there are tons of people in the chat room right now talking in the chat room, and they would love it if you were here chatting with them. The way to do that is youtube.com/KenRay. The show goes live 3:30 Pacific, 6:30 Eastern, other times, other places. Consult your local star chart. Got macOS Ken starting tomorrow. Got in a few minutes again tomorrow. And I will talk to you soon. I stuck out my tongue at you again. Not at you, just near you. Hold on. Let me stop the recording, which I did start. No prompting required. All right. I got glasses. I got glasses that need to be cleaned. See, Bill, I should actually go up to the top and answer the other questions first. I don't have the answer to your question. By makes more than $1 million, they mean gross sales, not net of Apple's 30%, right? I would imagine so because that's what they're comparing. Honestly, don't know off the top of my head. The biggest reason that I went with that is, first of all, we had heard from a number of people that most app developers who do sell in the App Store would benefit from this. It was interesting to see somebody put numbers to that. The other thing that I found interesting, I had sort of like vaguely considered the $1 million bubble thing, but I hadn't actually run the numbers. Boy, would that stink, right? Congratulations, you made $1.1 million. Here's your extra $5. Your numbers may vary. Hey, Web Bixby's here. I did not, did we meet Wednesday? We did meet Wednesday, Web, but it was just, there was nothing there. I mean, there was a lot there. We had a wonderful time talking to each other, but I had a severe case of holiday-itis on Wednesday. I could not think of a thing that I wanted to talk about. So I came here and talked about Thanksgiving and, answered any questions that people had. So there we go. Magic mirror. Interesting. I'll get magic mirror that I'll hold up in front of me. I'll get picture and put it behind me. We're going to have trolley come through every now and then. Did, what's his name? Did Captain Kangaroo have something like that? Seems like the kind of thing he would have. Nate got an ad earlier suggesting that he's subscribed to Volvo. See, that's really interesting. The whole, I don't know. I kind of got the same problem. What's funny is I don't have a car on the road right now. There's one in the house, but I personally don't have a car on the road right now. I do like owning a car because, one day you wake up and you're like, I want to see what's two towns over. You get up and do that. Of course, I haven't done that kind of thing in decades. The idea of like belonging to a subscription service for mobility, I don't know. I'm back and forth. On the one hand, it would be great not to have the headaches of, having to deal with it and having to keep tags on it and having to get it, inspected and all that stuff. On the other hand, if there's an emergency, everybody's going to be trying to get in that car that they subscribe to. So I don't know. Bill says the carriers keep sticking a toe in both bring your own devices and lease to own term plans. I never feel I get the discount I should by buying a phone outright. You mean you feel like buying the phone outright is a bad deal, or you feel like you get a better deal buying the phone outright? I'm not 100% certain what you mean, Bill. They'll send Vinny and Louie to your house to get the phone. See, that's a problem, though, because they're going to know where you are because Vinny and Louie got an app for that, yo. Microsoft is doing an interesting subscription plan called All Access. You get hardware and their gaming subscription service for $25 to $30 a month. You then own the hardware outright 2 years later? Really? I bought a video game, by the way. Friday, I bought a video game. Saturday, I played the video game. And then Sunday, I worked. I'm looking forward to getting back to it. Despite the negative reviews, I bought the Marvel's Avengers video game, which is interesting, although it turns out it does not matter what the video game is. If it involves jumping, I hate it. I don't hate the game, but I hate the jumping part. So right now I am stuck, and I was stuck for like 20 minutes before I finally quit because I was getting too frustrated. I will go back to it, though, because I keep thinking about the game. But I'm at this part right now where one of the characters is having to jump from like scaffolding to rooftop to fire escape to other stuff, and she's being pursued at the same time. I can't tell you how many times I've killed that character. Just Saturday night. Bought every iPhone outright, Nate says, except for the first one that was only available on a contract from Mo2 in the UK. Yeah, I used to buy on contract, and then a few years ago I stopped. Not sure why. I think it's because I kept thinking, I'm going to leave AT&T. That's it. I'm out. I'm leaving. Which I honestly didn't do until I finally tried my current carrier, who is not advertising here, but I will tell you anyway, is Mint Mobile. I was still buying my phones outright, thinking I was going to transfer or switch. I just never did because I fear change. Chuck raises an interesting question. A bundle, as described, would be great for a student or an average user. For those of us who are a bit more demanding, how does the hardware get refreshed? That's a good question, Chuck. You see, my other thing, too, is I got in the habit of passing my hardware to other members of my family. My mom ended up with one of my phones. Other people have ended up with other of my phones. They're all over the place. The iPhone 8 Plus was the first one I've ever turned back into Apple. And I did that last year when I got my iPhone 11. Otherwise, they've always found a new home either in my home or in a home that I visit. That's another thing that I, kind of wonder about as well. Oh, you don't have to tell me what a blank is, Starfleet Universe on call. That's Reg Blank is one of my favorite characters. In fact, one of the first time I had Tom Merritt on in a few minutes, actually, I talked about Reg Blank. This is that, by the way. I am years later. I'm the Reg Blank experience, I guess. Don't worry about being late, Andrew. Sorry we started without you. Neil says the supposed scarcity of HomePod Mini is keeping him from spending the money right now. He'll divert it to an iPad Air. Curious what you mean. Because You could order one right now and have it, it should ship by the 16th of December. So says Best Buy. I don't know where you are though, Neil. Maybe that's not a thing for you. Although that looks like your logo, your avatar looks like it would be from a U.S. university. So I'm assuming you could order from Best Buy. Lithronic says a car stays parked more than 90% of the time. You're not wrong. At 10%, though, when you feel the call of the open road, when you want those horses under your foot and the wind in your where your hair used to be, I don't disagree. Honestly, electronics. I'm a huge fan of well, in theory, I'm a huge fan of Uber and Lyft. There's the question of whether they treat their employees fairly. Everybody I've ever talked to who worked for Lyft or Uber really liked it and liked being able to do it. And yet I know there are lots of people who I apparently haven't talked to who didn't. Also got a horribly racist Uber driver one day. That was weird. He's the first one I didn't tip because he was awful. But I guess he thought we were safe because, just a couple of white guys. So let's talk bad about other people, he thought. That was well over a year ago, and it still makes me angry. Kind of strange. Oh, I like that idea. John says if you could subscribe to a car that was like a TARDIS, which I assume means bigger on the inside, it'd be fine. The only thing is it would look like a clown car when everybody got out. Yeah, could I subscribe to an Econo van, Econo Lodge van? What are they called? The ones that people are converting into houses right now. Oh, I see what you're saying. I asked earlier what Bill meant by, buying versus renting. He feels like he buys a phone, $1,000 phone, and saves $5 to $10 a month. Never seems worth it, but he keeps doing it. Nate says, as a founding member of a community car club, I can vouch for the shared car ownership. Yeah, I mean, dude, my car has been, it is going to go, when I get my head together, it will be donated someplace. It's not even worth selling at this point, I don't think. Not because it's bad, but just because it's so old. And to get it roadworthy, at least as far as the state is concerned, would cost a minimum of $2,500. And I've already put, 1,000 something into it. And it's a car that I paid $1,000 for. It's been great. Got me back and forth across the country several times. But now it's not worth keeping. It's not worth keeping. Makes me a little sad, but it's not worth keeping. And so I've been without my own car for well over a year now. And it's fine. Except for the part when I think, I'm just going to drive to, someplace else. Well, no, you're not. You're going to Uber to the bus station and then take the train and then maybe go, one of the 8 places Amtrak goes. Plus, right now, hashtag these uncertain times. I'm not going anywhere anyway. David says he is really old school. I want to own my music, my car, my computers. They have me on the iPhone annual upgrade program, but phones seem transitory to me, and the grass is always greener in the fall. An interesting point. Yeah, I get that. At the same time, I'm going to have to decide when is the right time to sell this computer to move over to an M1 Mac. Whereas if they were renting them to me, right, then I could go ahead and just, turn it back in and say, this one is not the one I want anymore. Give me another one. And Nate says he's a couple of payments off from owning his Nissan Leaf outright, and it's a good feeling. I get that. So there we go. Right. You guys, thank you for being here for my Breath of Fire episode. I feel certain I will be back to feeling, no, actually, I'm going to hold on to this feeling for at least a couple of days. Join me Thursday. Well, no, join me tomorrow, but join me Thursday when I'll be like, what am I doing? Why is this? When can I go back to sleep? Thank you all for being here. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I should have asked that. Tomorrow, let's talk about our Thanksgivings. Not Nate. I seriously don't understand why England doesn't celebrate Thanksgiving. Do you see what a mess we have sometimes made of things? You would think England would be like, right, we should totally do that because look at them over there. That's all I'm saying. And I just insulted all the US people. Have a wonderful evening, guys and gals. And I will talk to you soon.